Hello, hello, hello. And today is not a combo guide, a tier list. Play this character, or me influencing into the ways of Zam. What we are doing today, however, is a series of case studies on all characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Z. And today we are covering the Lord himself, Zamasu. So Zamasu, a type of character at a glance of Zamasu is a character that really controls the skies. One of the only characters in the entire game that can fly indefinitely. So this combined with literally pointing a finger full screen. So if you enjoy controlling the skies, running away, really slow paced game, while also being inside and having vast mix up options, then Zamasu definitely is for you. Now, as always, in these case studies, I like to talk about zones. You're going to hear me explain this concept. You're going to hear me two zones about up close, mid-range, and far. So I use the concept zones here because it's really easy to understand. It's not abstract and it's really simple. So you will hear me talk about up close, mid-range, and far. I'm going to go through buttons on the floor in the air, just a snapshot, specials, supers, and before we delve into kind of potential win conditions and game plans at a glance that you look for these characters and find against them. So let's begin. So Zamasu up front is obviously his 5L is -3. It has actually okay range as well. So this is a really good tool. He can't chain it, so he has to do 5LL, which is -5. As you see, Zamasu keeps going forward. It does push him out slightly, but this is actually a good tool to move Zamasu forward, being -5. His 2L, it hits low and is -4. He can do 2L, 2L. So this is a good tool here that Zamasu can use. His 5M is one of his best mid-range approaching tools. So here, Zamasu can throw this out here and be up to -5, but up close is -7. So this is a kind of a good tool here. His 2M, as you see there, -4 up there, up close is -5. So this is actually safe on block. So Zamasu can actually end his strings here, and his opponents are none the wiser. It being safe here, especially if you do this and don't press 5M, really make the opponents guess with what's going to come next with Zamasu. It's 5H. Again, hits at round start. This is a fantastic kind of tool here. It's 2H as well, same exact frames as 15 and as 17. So this 2H has a great angle, a bit on the slower end. Obviously you see that angle that encompasses everything over there. Zamasu in the air, his JL, a really fast cross-up button, really good for short characters. Zamasu can catch you really unawares. What Zamasu can do here, so the opponent really has to be really wary. JM, kind of a good approach tool as well for Zamasu. You can have to do JM and go low, or JML. His J2H. This is plus on block, so Zamasu can actually really mix up the opponent, hitting him with a triple overhead, and that's plus on block. So here your opponent really has to be ready for this. As in that's 3 overheads, or you can go to the low. So I see in the corner is very powerful. Zamasu can do that. Now let's go into supers. So supers, Zamasu is level 1. Do it on the floor and in the air. His other level 1 sets up the Blades of Judgment. Here this rains down on the opponent, so this will primarily be used for Zamasu, obviously on a knockdown like so, versus the opponent. And then you can kind of read where your opponent's actions are. So Zamasu can knock down the opponent, and knock him down, reflect on. So you primarily use this level 1. See, Zamasu would kind of use it in that situation there where your opponent actually has to reflect twice. So you combine that with doing this M, going low or high. Zamasu can really mix up his opponents there. And he's level 3. He makes it rain. So this is a really good level 3 because it hits regardless of where he is on the screen. it will track towards you. So this is really good for when you're moving around and your opponent tries to super dash you when Zamasu's in the air. You can whip this out here. Now let's go straight into specials because I'm unveiling a lot of them here. So Zamasu has quite a few specials. He has 236S. As you see there, this is Ki Blast invul. So if my opponent was to throw out a Ki Blast, one second, I'll do it. This is really hard to set up. We're a bit on the slower end. There we go. A bit on the slower end. As you see there. Really hard to do. One more time. A bit slower. There we go. A bit slower. No, a bit slower. Nope. Bit on the slow end. Actually, it does beat Ki Blast, but boy, it is very, very hard to do, as you see there. This is good for Zamasu for one of multiple reasons. So Zamasu can actually use it as a true. He can't use it as a true string to vanish from here. If Zamasu holds it, so Zamasu can hold 236S, and it sends out this huge wave. So if my opponent does do a Ki Blast now. One second, let me set it up. There we go. So if my opponent does a Ki Blast like there, you just saw. Where's he reflecting? If my opponent is able to do a Ki Blast, it just stuffs the Ki Blast completely. As you see there. So this has it as well, but only at the beginning. But if you hold it down, it will completely eat a Ki Blast. As you see there. So it will literally vanquish a Ki Blast on its way towards you. Zamasu's 236L, -3 on block. Really good approach tool combined with an assist. So this is what Zamasu kind of uses for a lot of his pressure. His M version is one of his combo enders. And his H version is rapid. This is probably a great tool to throw out, obviously in the mid-range, combined with assist. Really, you can really mix up your opponents there. Zamasu's 214S, we saw that's his flight. Zamasu is able to fly for a specified amount of time. Combine that with spraying specials. Zamasu can stay in the air. Set up this as well. So you can stay, normally he stays for this line if you do 214L, which I'm about to show you. So 214L is up to +19, so he does these little orbs here. M version is a bit longer. H version as well. Hits 1, 2, twice. So that's what Zamasu can do there. You can use this to kind of mix up really unique situations versus your opponent. So if I was playing my opponent and they were crouching, for instance, if Zamasu was like doing this, let me set it up properly, sorry. So Zamasu can, let's do it again. So Zamasu can set up situations like so, where he can really mix up his opponent and obviously get knocked down. So you combine that with the correct, if you've got the right assist, Zamasu can really set up really unique situations where your opponent really has to guess with using these blades here. He can use a 236S in the air as well. His 5S in the air, it's got a downward angle. So if you combine it with a good assist, you can kind of get confirms here. On the ground, it does go over crouching opponents, so that is something you do have to think about. It does go over crouching opponents for some reason. But yeah, I could spend as much time going through Zamasu specials and how they work with each character and how great they are, but let's delve straight into win conditions and game plans. That's what we're here for. At a first glance, one of Zamasu's biggest win conditions is really simple. if you're in the corner and Zamasu has a bar or some type of extension with his assist, Zamasu puts you in this situation here where your opponent literally has to guess where your opponent really has to guess between the high and the low. So your opponent's able to reflect, but they have to reflect twice. So Zamasu is able to put them in a situation where your opponent really has to kind of guess what's going on. So once he sets up that situation with the Blades of Judgment, or even not just the Blades of Judgment, just a normal knockdown. It's a normal knockdown, even with his normal one here, with these beams here, because they're plus 15 on block. Zamasu can set up unique situations where he can DR you after, where he can IAD and you're unable to 2H because of the beams. So you can really set up these really weird situations that you really have to deal with. So that's something that you got to think about when you're playing against Zamasu. Now let's look into what in a partner. What is he really looking for? So as you saw, Zamasu enjoys you blocking. So one of the biggest things he loves in a partner is block stun. So Team Gohan's got obviously 29, sorry, and this has got plus 43. So Zamasu loves to set up. The opponent is on reflect. He loves to be able to set up while the opponent is blocking. So here he loves to be able to set up with those orbs there. See, as you saw there with Team Gohan, it's not really possible there. But if you've got someone like Jiren, I said Virus. See, someone like Jiren's just allow me to do this. Do it one more time. See there, that allowed me to set up the orbs. So this allowed me put in a situation. So again with Jiren. See, that allowed me to put me in a situation where the orbs were set up. So because Zamasu has a great JL. So we saw that with Gohan, it wasn't really possible with Gohan assist. See, there, it's not really possible with Gohan assist. It's something you could use, so it likes high blocks on assist. And another thing, Zamasu enjoys is horizontal engagement on the ground. So Zamasu is going to be in the air, moving around. He loves assists that are able to kind of snipe his opponents out while he's kind of moving and traversing the screen. Especially because he's able to kind of cancel his flight at any time. So while he's doing all of this, he loves being able to have assists on the ground but able to hit. So while he's in the air, if Jiren hits, I'm able to kind of confirm from the hit there. So that's what he kind of enjoys. So Jiren, it looks like he doesn't hit about full screen. It hits about here, so Zamasu can kind of work with that. So while I'm at this range of Zamasu, just a bit closer while I'm at the mid-range. Doesn't look like it works there. I can kind of set up situations where these assists can help me. So it doesn't look like Jiren looks like it's a bit better than Gohan is. So let's try their B assists. So you saw he likes high blocks on assist. Gohan is plus. This is plus 35. However, the opponent is able to super dash through this. So if the opponent's obviously able to super dash, I'm not able to set up the orbs as easily. I can also 2H as well. So I'm able to 2H, and if the opponent's mashing as well. Let's do it again. See there, I'm able to kind of do my strings. Let's try and do the orbs. See, I'm able to kind of set up orbs there, but I got hit. See, I got hit there, so that's not part of the situation you want to be in. So maybe we might not use that corner. Let's see Jiren. This Jiren assist is plus 29. It's a bit faster. It has great. I think it has greater. Probably exactly the same. So block stun wise, it's not the most. So if I was able to do this with Zamasu, kind of the same situation there. So I can use it. I can use this assist, but horizontal engagement. This B assist is helpful, But it doesn't stop the opponent kind of super dashing at me when I'm Zamasu. When I'm in the air, it doesn't stop my opponent super dashing at me. Maybe there's during assist, but I'm unable to kind of follow up there. So it's something you have to think about. Now let's try C assist. So Gohan C assist is plus 35, so that's a lot better. So this will allow me. Let's do it again. So this will allow me as the Zamasu. That's fantastic. So if we do that again, let's do a bit more. Probably got to time it. There's a bit of timing to this. See? Probably a bit slower. A bit faster. See there, I'm able to set up the situation, but I'm unable to get the string. Probably just with a bit of practice, because I'm not doing this before. A bit faster again. Just one more time. So there, probably not. That didn't work. See, Gohan is plus 35, but it's on the slower end. So as you saw, it's a bit hard to do with Gohan. Let's see with Jiren, that was 46 frames it took to start up. See with Jiren's only plus 25, so we saw that that's not going to be enough. But it is faster, so let's try with Jiren. See there, it's not enough to kind of set up those orbs or even being able to put my opponent in situation. Even just put my opponent in a situation like this. So I can get the cross up there, but he's still able to reflect. So maybe I won't use this assist. Now, horizontal engagement. C assists are kind of built for this. So both C assists are very helpful for Zamasu. Obviously when he's moving around in the sky, being able to use C assists and then come in. So those assists are really helpful there. Now let's go over to the other side. I have obviously GT assist. His A assist. Now block stun wise, this is plus 30. So this is definitely helpful for Zamasu. So you saw it's a great assist there, and horizontal engagement. That's the kind of the definition. The angle of this assist is the definition of horizontal engagement. So this really helps Zamasu in an angle where the opponent can't super dash. So probably this assist can help him. And he's able to obviously land the combo as well. So we see there with GT assist is really helpful. Now let's go to Vegeta Blue. So probably you can use Vegeta Blue. It's a bit on the slow end. It's even slower than, and it's only 26 frames on block. So potentially you won't use this. Horizontal engagement. Potentially, if your opponent is a bit slow, maybe you could use that. But I personally kind of would stay straight away from kind of that assist. Because as we saw with, obviously with Jiren's A assist, in comparison when we use Jiren, I'm able to set up these situations with Jiren, with obviously using the L, the M version. So I'm able to do this with Jiren, but I can't do that with obviously Vegeta Blue. Now I can spend forever talking about win conditions, potential game plans, but let's move it to talking fighting against Zamasu. What are we really looking for? Now Zamasu, up close, it seems like he has so much, especially running away and controlling the game. But from mid-range to far, there's no real engagement from Zamasu outside of assists. So outside of assists, this character is not hitting you. Aside from obviously doing JS here, which obviously can be super dash and having obviously 3 bars to level 3, Zamasu's not really engaging with his opponent. Yes, he has 236H that you can throw out, but aside from that, Zamasu's not really engaging from here. So here, you're giving your opponent lots of time to kind of maneuver around the screen and create a game plan fighting against you as Zamasu, or fighting against Zamasu. Because all he's really doing here is not controlling anything here and relying on his assist. And most importantly, unless a very particular setups, as I showed here, with obviously the M version of this, where I'm able to set up a situation where I'm plus, obviously, 16 on block. And I'm able to get a DR in all these situations. Outside of kind of assists and all this stuff, his solo pressure is pretty linear. So outside of obviously cross up JL, which is a fantastic tool, his pressure is very, very linear. So his staggers being -5, great staggers that they can be, but as you know, staggers, the weakness to most staggers obviously in Dragon Ball Z or in the game in general, the opponent can decide to just backdash your staggers. He does have a 5M that can hit the opponent there. So you can hit the opponent if they're trying to run away. But aside from the opponent not running away, if your opponent decides to actually just block, so Zamasu might stop someone backdashing, but if your opponent decides to just block, aside from his obviously 6M and the cross up JL, Zamasu's not really going to be opening up his opponents. Yes, he has the ability to fly and unfly. So Zamasu can do cool things like this. So you can do fly, unfly into low. But aside from very particular circumstances, it's still very linear. So aside from obviously him doing cross up JLs and all any pressure, so your opponent really just has to block there and wait for Zamasu to make an error, because he can't extend pressure unless he does this. Everything he's doing is minus, so unless he kind of ends his pressure, decides to fly afterwards, Zamasu's going to have to back away. And when he backs away, as we saw mid-range and far, there's no engagement from him. So some of your opponents have to, can use against you. Now let's go back to character select screen before I spend forever talking about Zamasu. So we briefly talked over Zamasu as a character. One of the basic win conditions for Zamasu... Wait, he's going to talk forever, right? Oh, he just stopped talking. So one of the basic win conditions for Zamasu was a cornered opponent, and the bar is chaos. So Zamasu, with just the bar or even just a cornered opponent from a knockdown, Zamasu was able to set up his Blades of Judgment, his second super, where he's really able to pin down the opponent. So we saw one of the biggest things for Zamasu was setting up that 214L or 214M on block. So even without the bar, being able to have an assist that allows him to set up his 214L or 214M on block, gave him situations where he can do LL into 6M, LL into cross up, 236L into the beams hitting and being plus 16, where he's able to not get 2H defeat IADs. So these things for Zamasu are really important. So characters that helped him set this up, we talked about how he lacks a high block stun assist, so he's able to set up these blades, and he's able to do pressure and horizontal engagement on the ground. So Zamasu, while he's in the air and he's far away, he likes assists that are able to engage the opponent or keep his opponent engaged while he is setting up shop full screen or in the mid-range. Now, we saw that with, obviously, Gohan's A assist, it was a bit helpful. His B assist not so much, but the C assist was really helpful. So we saw that there with Jiren, with Zamasu, we saw Jiren was able to give him, with the A assist, the high block stun and a bit of horizontal engagement, but we saw with the C assist, it wasn't able to help him there. Now, fighting against Zamasu, we saw, going back before we go on there, we saw with GT Goku assist was also helpful in both high block stun and horizontal engagement. Now, fighting against Zamasu, we talked about how the mid-range and far, there's no real engagement from him outside of assists. Yes, he has 236H, which is a great tool, and is able to fly afterwards, but there's no real engagement from him. He's doing JS full screen, and when he's in the air, his opponent can super dash him. So unless his opponent has free bars, he can be super dashed in the air when he is flying. And most importantly, unless very particular setups or circumstances we saw with 214 or 214M, his solo pressure outside of cross up JO is very linear. Yes, his opponent can't backdash a lot of Zamasu's pressure because he has far-reaching normals, but a lot of his normals are -5 or -7. So Zamasu's going to have to end in his 236L and flying away from his opponent. Otherwise, his opponents are going to have to take control of him. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video about Zamasu. We spoke about how strong he is in the corner. He has that J2H. He really can mix up his opponent with those high-low options, but we spoke about him in depth here. So if you did like the video, please leave a like, leave a comment as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.